Well, good morning and welcome to County's Life Connect. I hope you've enjoyed these last 4 mornings as we've heard some really powerful testimonies of people who've met with God in different stages of their life from completely different backgrounds, but yet God has met them and brought change and new life into their lives and their hearts. And so today I have Scott with me. Hi, Scott.
Hi, Tim. How you doing?
Yeah, well, thanks. Really nice to have Scott. Now, most of you have probably never seen Scott before, but you've seen his wife, Darren, who was on yesterday. And so I thought it'd be good for you to see the other half of the equation. And what they say is behind every good woman, there's a great man. I think that's what it is, isn't it, Scott?
I think so, yeah.
So this is the great man behind the woman. And certainly is. And I've had the privilege of getting to know Scott these last few years. So tell us, Scott, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background.
So like you say, I'm married to Darren and we have 2 beautiful children. I work as a clerk of works, which is a construction quality inspector. And I don't come from a Christian background. So I became a Christian around about 2016, at least that's when I got baptized. It's probably over a period of a year or 2 before that. And yeah, it's just slowly built on since there and got more involved with the church as I've gone along.
So are you the only Christian in your family?
Yes, as far as I know. I didn't come from a Christian background. Married obviously a Darren, so I married into a Christian family, and just I wasn't put under pressure. It was just sort of encouraged to start coming to church, and I wondered why on earth I'd want to do that for. Because the only church I'd ever been to in my background would have been just as a Church of England school, Christmas services and things like that. So it was completely irrelevant to, or at least I thought it was completely irrelevant to me.
Yeah, and I remember you said to me before that you just had never heard basically the good news about Jesus and what we might call as Christians the gospel. It was kind of totally new to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, you hear all the Christmas stories, the Easter stories, but I'd never really taken much notice of them. And I think it's something that wasn't. It's like a nice to have option for people who wanted to believe in something like that. So I think the first time it really became real to me was actually engaging in the Bible myself and realizing there was so much wisdom in it that you only get through reading it, funnily enough. And also that there's so much historical content there. How, I didn't even realize that it was historical scriptures that could be dated and they're evidence-based. So learning all of these things has gone from just being this book of anything that religious people read to something that's actually relevant today, that it has authenticity.
Yeah, no, I remember we had some of these conversations earlier on, and your eyes were opened up. And you also, when you said you read the scriptures, but I think if I remember rightly, you often probably listen to it rather than read it. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'm dyslexic, so I'm not too bad now, but especially when I was younger, and I find it much easier to listen to things. So yeah, I get a lot of audio books. I listen to, but I do read it as well. But sometimes I listen and read at the same time. Yeah, I help it. I find it more helpful that it goes in that way.
Yeah. So people who are watching today, maybe you struggle with reading or just don't enjoy reading. There's multiple ways you can get into the Bible, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and that really helped you. So you kind of I mean, you may have touched on this already, but what was the sort of bit that sort of, because what I remember is you really wrestled with this, and I think it was really good and really healthy. You didn't just become a Christian because Darren was a Christian. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was, you explored it, yes, because she was a Christian. And I can remember having a conversation with you when I first met you, I think it was, and you said to me, Tim, my wife's a Christian. Can you help me understand her faith? I think it was something like that. And can you remember that conversation?
Yes, I do. I mean, I can look back now and see the divine influence in that. And if anyone who knows Tim will know that if you want to have a conversation with him after the service, it would be very difficult to do so, because he would just be flooded with different people trying to speak to him. And this particular time, with me being shy and awkward in an environment that I wasn't used to, I wanted to speak to Tim, but I wouldn't have if he was speaking to lots of other people who were Christians and might look at me as being the outsider. So I sat there for a good 5, maybe 10 minutes, kept looking around, and Tim was just there. He seemed to have this bubble around him when nobody was speaking. It gave me that opportunity to come over and speak to you, Tim. So yeah, I can look back now and see the divine influence there, but this is how clueless I was. I remember coming up to you and saying, my wife's a Christian. I want to find out a bit more about her faith. Do you do anything like have a private conversation with someone about these things? And so I was completely clueless about even what you did for your job, which is quite funny looking back now.
Yeah, it was one of the best conversations I've ever had for the first time with someone. So it's well implanted in my mind.
What you won't know, Tim, is that Darren may have mentioned to you before, but we got back in the car, and obviously I'm still a bit awkward around those sorts of conversations. So we're driving home, and Darren turns to me and sort of goes, but I saw you speaking to the pastor. What was that all about? And I said, well, I just told him I wanted to speak to him about your faith and find out a bit more about it. And she tells me now that she nearly crashed the car. I can't remember if she was driving or if I was driving, but anyway, it has more effect.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So what would have been obviously you wrestled with it, as I said before, and probably over a 18-month, 2-year period, maybe. And what kind of got you there? What was the sort of part that made you go, yeah, I'm going to commit my life to Christ and going to trust Him?
I feel that the Gospels sort of spoke to my heart and allowed me to be the person that I kind of knew I was inside, if that makes sense. We become adults, and the world affects us and makes us, we have to act in a certain way, and men have to be men and all this sort of thing. And that's fine, but I think that can take away a bit of our gentleness as well. And there's that sort of little boy in all of us who gets kind of pushed away by the world. And I felt that the gospel sort of allowed me to be that person that I always knew I was, but the one I wasn't displaying. It sort of freed me up, allowed me to be me. I mean, many other things as well. It's quite a difficult question to answer, but that's initially what I feel. Yeah.
Yes, you kind of saw that, and has that been your experience as well? Is that kind of not just something you saw from a distance, but something you sort of sense has happened as you move forward in faith?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a constant challenge. It's becoming more like Jesus, isn't it? It's feeling His love and His grace on our lives, and then us showing that to others. And as we go through difficult periods of our lives, which can sometimes feel like every other day, it's difficult to have that reaction or that response and that grace to others when life's difficult. So yes, I do feel that, but it is still a constant development. I just need to keep reading my Bible every day. Would be a good start.
Yeah, that was great. No, well, thanks, Scott. Really appreciate you sharing with me today. And I know that would have been a massive encouragement to so many watching this morning, or whatever time of day you're watching this, if you're catching it on catch up later on. So really appreciate you sharing. So we're going to just close this week, and I hope you've really enjoyed this week. We've had so many great testimonies. And if you haven't seen them all, just go back over the County's YouTube channel and Facebook page and catch up with the ones you've missed, because I'm pretty certain you'll be thrilled and excited by what's been out there this week. And I've certainly enjoyed having these conversations. And I know as I've watched back the interviews myself, I found it quite emotional just to see how God's been working in so many different people in different ways, from different backgrounds, but equally powerfully in this 21st century. And I hope you found it the same way too. So share these pages with your friends on Facebook, so others can be blessed and encouraged. That's what they're there for. So have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll speak to you again soon, I'm sure, Scott. And don't forget, next week at 8 o'clock on Monday morning will be our next Life Connect with Counties. Goodbye.